audio. We do. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey guys, Joe here, Tint Academy. Learn how to tint carwindows.com. Coming in today, make a little video. I'm going to share some insight here with this 2016 Ford Focus that I got in the shop here. What I wanted to share was this wing here. This is kind of a unique setup with this car. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to take this wing off, because what happens is when you try to shrink this film on this back window, there's literally no extra room underneath this wing, and it's real tight with this particular windshield wiper mechanism in place here. There's not enough room is what it boils down to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wing off. I'm going to share on that and whatever else might come up here today in the shop. So take a peek. If you guys aren't familiar, if this is your first time watching Tint Academy, you can join the group at facebook.com/groups/Tint Academy. It's a slowly growing group there. We're going to be sharing more stuff there and ready to answer questions, give insights, share details, and just talk all things window tinting. In addition to that, I am available at the Tint Academy website. It's learnhowtotintcarwindows.com. You can go there, and we're just getting ready to start adding some content there. The courses are going to be up. I'm going to be doing a tool video here and another video with equipment and different things that you might want to outfit yourself with so you can get started on the cheap. So I'm going to have those up. Those are going to be free videos, and then there's going to be some membership-based stuff. Memberships are going to be free for the time being. So be an early member, I should say. Opt in, join in. You can see information there. I'm thinking I'm going to have a do-it-yourself tint kit that I'm going to be selling, and that's going to be available probably on some Facebook marketing and stuff. And then I am going to have some different courses available, and I got some videos completed and compiled for that as well. So we're going to get into that. I got to plug in my my steamer here. I have some windows that I want to that I actually have to strip today. So I want to make sure that this unit has some water in it, which I don't believe it does. So that's going to be something that I'm going to do here. I'll turn this around so you can see that process there. And we're just going to fill this up. And going to fill this up just so we have water in there. What I want to do, what I like to do is really get this plugged in and the preheat operation going. I did another video that's available that shows some stripping. So if you want to see that, you can go in the videos on this channel and see that video where I actually did a little bit of window tint stripping. But today, the Honda dealership, they have a vehicle that has, I guess, like somebody put some limousine dark film on a Honda CRV. So I'm going to be stripping a Honda CRV, and so I'm going to get this thing set up so that we have hot water ready. So what she'll do with this particular unit is just plug it in, let it preheat. It's got a couple different settings. So first you preheat, and then let that happen. And then once it's preheated, I can start at about 5 minutes before I'm ready to actually do some stripping, and it'll be ready, and it'll have steam available. So we'll let that sit. Maybe I'll show that a little later. I did show some other stripping. Got a viewer on board. How you doing? If you want to, feel free. I am going to put up this chat here and see what we got. If you got any questions or anything you want to share, if you're somebody who's been watching and you have some testimonials, things you've been working on, different anything at all, just say hi here in the chat, and I'd be happy to talk with you about whatever you got going. So there's that, the chat window. You might have to check it out on the right side. Again, for you guys that just jumped in here, I'm going to go ahead and go through this wing here on this Ford Focus, because this is one that really is problematic for shrinking the film. So I'm going to take that off, and I just wanted to share because a lot of these screws are hidden, and somebody might not be sure exactly what they're doing or how to get this out of the way. So I'm going to pop that off. In the meantime, I'm going to get my plotter set up, so we'll give you guys a little footage of that. I haven't came through and made a video for a couple of I don't know, I don't think I made one for a week or so now, or maybe even 2 weeks now, but I've been super busy dealing with my own workflow. I got somebody coming aboard to help, so there'll be another trainee on board here that you'll see in the background, and I need to get somebody up to speed, helping, prepping, cleaning, cutting pieces, and then hopefully within a short amount of time as possible, actually doing cars. And this is somebody that's actually worked for me before, and so it shouldn't be too long before he's able to get some cars done. And I'm going. Obviously, we're all going into the busy season here, right? And I'm planning on having quite a bit more retail, and so I don't want my dealer work to fall behind. So I need some help with that. And the system of having a helper prepping windows, pulling door panels, all that different kind of stuff is really valuable. It's really a good thing to have that at your disposal if you got a good enough workflow, good amount of vehicles coming in. I had somebody, this is kind of funny, I had somebody in the comments on one of the last videos, he commented and said, I wish you talked less. So man, I said, hey brother, I apologize. Maybe you should try using your mute button. So feel free guys, if I talk too much, what I'm trying to do is keep it entertaining and keep it informative and keep it flowing so it's worth watching. But if you find that I talk too much and you just want to watch me walk around my shop, then by all means just mute me, and maybe that'll make your life happy. I don't know. But I'm trying to pack this with as much information as I possibly can, so that especially I know there's people on here watching that are in the tint business, and I know that we can learn a thing or two from each other. I love watching other people's videos and that. But if you're a beginner and you're not really well versed in this industry, then every little thought and every little insight is really valuable to a beginner. So I'm trying not to be, there's a lot of videos you can watch here, and I'm not saying anything negative, but there are a lot of videos you can watch here on Facebook where people are kind of just letting you watch them work and not really giving you any insight, no real theology, I like to call it, not really explaining what they're doing and why they're doing it. And I think that's a sad truth. So let's do this. Let's take a peek at this video. Now, I did mention at the learnhowtotintcarwindows.com website, where Tint Academy is now located, I am going to go through and do a video in particular of all the different tools that I use. But this is just my kit of long reach tools for a back window, right? And I'm going to go through and I'm going to really give a detailed explanation on all the different things that I have. But one of the things that you definitely need to have if you are removing panels, which I highly recommend that you're popping panels, as I've mentioned many a time before, but you need to have some sort of tool, little kit, little carry-all that you can just puff around and put it where you need it. I actually have it on this rolling cart that I've shown before. I can probably give, yeah, there you go. So I keep my little tool, pouches in there, and wheel this around to the different doors that I'm working on. But right now, I am going to pop this panel here. And so you need some different stuff. And in here I have everything I need, all my bits for my impact driver, and picks for popping off different little panel coverings and different things. the tested, tried and true popsicle stick. You got to have that. A large size hook is definitely something that you want to have, and then a variety of different plastic tools. And honestly, I don't use those a whole lot. I've got a set of different panel popping tools like this, different sizes, and this is really an indispensable tool. Is the panel? It's also a panel popping tool, but this is kind of a spring-loaded one that you can slide under the panel and pop the clips on that. I use that one all the time. So this is the kind of kit you should have set up. I'm going to go through in a more detailed video. That video will be housed on the Tint Academy website. So if you want to see that, it's also going to be locked under a memberships type style setup. It's going to be a free membership for now. So go there and join, learn how to tint carwindows.com. But let's get this close up here so you can see exactly how this works, so people can actually benefit from this video. So you can see that there's two screws right here, and there's two on the other side. Those are the two that are exposed. Okay, but then what you'll do is, if you take those off, you'll see that this wing is still stuck in place. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that something in addition to that needs to be dismantled. So for this panel here, what I'll do is I'll just take a popsicle stick like this, some kind of plastic tool, right? And these are nice because they're not going to put a crazy pressure point like hard metal on the glass. So I'm actually prying off the glass, and I don't have to worry that I'm going to break this glass. I'm not going to pry so much and focus on popping this panel, but what I am going to do is I'm going to give myself enough space so I can reach behind there with my hand, because otherwise you can't get behind there. So what you want to do is just get behind there and gently give that thing a pop. And it's got a couple of clips for these style clips. Sometimes these clips will come off of this post and they'll stay stuck in this little channel. And what you want to do then is kind of get a pliers, and you'll just squeeze that clip and pull it out of there. And you want to do it very carefully, because if you don't, it'll pop inside the hole. It'll fall down into the chamber here between the two pieces. It's like a hollow. You can see it's hollow. You can go inside there, but if it falls in there, you'll need to fish around with the magnet thing, and it can take extra time and waste your time. So be careful with that. And so what you're going to need from this point forward is I think it's a T25 Torx is I think the size for these side portions. And this thing is so well used that I can't even read the numbers on it anymore. It's on there. Yeah, it's a T25, I think is what it is. Nope. Yeah, so T20 is probably the size. Let's just see here. This is the 20. Just like to make sure I have the right size torque. It'll end up spinning the tip of your torque bit. So now I got that on there. And just on my impact driver, right? And I'm going to pop these out real quick. Sometimes these things can be rusted. Like even on the 2016, it's hard to see, but the thing is already starting to rust on a 2016. Sometimes these screws are rusted so bad, even on a 4, 5, 6-year-old unit, that they don't even, the threads are gone and they don't even want to go back in. So I'll just set those, and what I'll do here is I'll grab off camera. I'll grab here a little magnetized tool tray, something I keep around. Anything, you can do anything with them. You can put them anywhere. You can stick your screws in a spot like that, whatever. For now, I'm just going to put it down inside there. But it's nice to have all your screws, all together in a spot where you know you're not going to lose them. In a hatchback situation, if you actually like, I got them set down right there, but if you set things down, screws down, and then you crawl in and out of here, your screws can fall down in the compartment underneath the deck where the tire is and actually end up underneath the tire. You'll have to take the tire off to get or out of the way to get the screws. So it's nice to just put it in a position where you know where it is and you can get to it easily and not lose it. Common sense, simple stuff. So I'm going to switch this out now. Now I've got what I think is and I got these off camera here. I also have a little setup like this with all my driver bits in there. And I think we're looking at a 9/32 maybe? Nope. Let's see, one of these sizes. Here we go. So it's actually a 5/16 driver, nut driver. And so I got my little setup there for that. And I mean, you guys work with tools, you know how it works, but I'm gonna just put that in there. And then sometimes these particular screws, you got to be careful with them. They will load them with blue Loctite to the point where they're so locked in there that the head will crack off. I've seen that many a time. So if you run into that, don't use the impact driver. Go then and use a hand tool and very carefully do a little loosening and then tighten again, loosen, tighten, so you break that stuff free without putting too much pressure on the bolt, because if the bolt breaks, then you can't put it back together, and it could be a potential problem for you. So something you want to look out for. So now I have all these out, right? And what happens then is this wing is now free to come out of here. The only problem is it has clips, and if you're not accustomed to the feel of this, you'll feel like, wow, what the heck? It still doesn't want to come out. It must be screwed in. We've got a total of 7 screws. All completely removed. If you focus on that, you have all the screws removed. Well, then all you need to do is give this thing a little jolt, and the plastic clips will release. Okay, and you'll see. Now, I'm not going to mess with the wires. All I'm going to do, and you could actually, I should have probably did this before, but I'm going to show you the proper way. I'm rifling through, cars from the dealership. This is a used car for sale at the car lot here, and maybe I don't take every single precaution on these particular cars, but if you work on a customer's car and you do this, what happens is if you just set this thing up there without putting it on something like a towel, every time you open and close the hatch, because it's connected to the wires, it's going to move a little bit. You'll end up putting little scratches and scuff marks in the paint, and you will end up with a really pissed off customer from doing that. So then the next step for me is all this muck is because that's an area that can't be cleaned relatively easy because it's bolted, underneath this wing. So what I'll do is I don't want that dirt on my paper towel. So what I'm gonna do is, and I keep a roll of like blue Scott shop towels, the common shop towels like these. I have these that I use once and throw away. And then I have the other pink ones that I've shown before that are kind of a reuse. But I'll lay a heavy bead of window cleaner on here. Oh, my can's going empty. But I'll lay that heavy bead on there. And what I'll do is I'll just let that soak for a minute. And what I want to do is just let that break that that surface material up there, and give it a chance to, because that stuff tends to be like it's baked on. It's really a hard and crusty, nasty, and I don't want those little particulates coming down even when I'm just shrinking my film. So I'm going to let that sit for just a minute, and then I'm going to wipe that up with that. Sometimes you even, if you're really anal, you'll come through there and you can actually clean that with give it a couple scrapes with a razor blade after I wipe it here. We'll see how it comes off, but it's probably going to be good enough so I won't have to worry about it. So I'm just going to real quick clean the outsides of these windows enough here, and then I'll hammer on this thing. And so let's just see. We'll show you what kind of nasty funk this brings, but you can see it probably doesn't do too much justice on the video there, but it's nasty. And so I don't want that on obviously my normal cleaning rags. I don't want that on there. If I have a car come in and it's really filthy, the windows, I don't want that on my rig. I'll spray the car down, power wash the car down, and just squeegee it, and then just wipe the clean water off. I don't want to get my rags too filthy with really, serious muck and grime. And then then what I'll do, and I'm gonna back you guys up. You got a chance to see that wing come off, and that was really the main focus here. I really wanted to share that because this is probably one of the most frustrating vehicles to work on, with this wing in the way. And if you're trying to shrink this thing, I'm just going to go over this one more time with my normal cleaning rag now and just make sure that I have a clean surface. Kind of anal with that. All right. So we'll go through some shrinking. Now I'm going to make sure I don't have any paint overspray or anything that's going to alter my shrinking process. And then I'm going to add my baby powder. Just a tiny bit. It looks like more than it really is there. It's just a light dusting. And I just going to get my hand coated and get rid of all the excess. And that's it. It's a very light coating, like a dusting, that goes on there. And then that's really about it. And I suppose I can share the shrinking again today. It might help somebody. So I'll do that. Give me 1 second here. I'm just going to grab my piece. If you guys have any questions, any updates, looks like somebody commented in the chat there. I'm going to take a peek at that here real quick. And hopefully I can help answer any questions or address anything, or maybe shut up for 2 seconds so that one guy can be happy. I don't know. I think his name was Ahmad. Sorry, Ahmad, brother. I didn't mean to talk too much. I was just born this way. I don't know what kind of instructor would it be if I just came on here and let you look at like what you're looking at now. I'm off camera, so if I'm not talking, then what's the purpose of watching this video, really? But let's see. Jay Wise is up here. What's up, man? Just at work and got your notification. Can't live hangout or anything, but you're in my ears using my headphones. Cool. Awesome, brother. Just type in whatever you got. I'm wondering if you had success with the Dart, if you got that vehicle dialed in, that back window. I know you worked on it. I think you were going to work on that Sunday. So give us an update on that. And so what I'm doing here is I am, as usual, I'm creating a situation where I can properly shrink this window here. So we'll put this up here so you can see. And then I've created a little area there with little soapy water off my scrubby pad. And now I'm going to lay this out. And this thing doesn't want to stay up too well here, but we'll deal with that. I'm gonna here's a little trick for that. What I'll typically do is just, this sometimes work. It's just I got my tape measure, and what I'll do is I'll just kind of put it underneath this thing, and a lot of times I can get it to just stay in place. That'll be just enough to hold the thing up. I'm just gonna get in the way for a minute and adjust this piece. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut. I can see where my piece is trimmed out. I'm just going to cut a little bit so this here can lay down. And I need to, might not work too well here for this particular. Let's see here. Let me see what else I can use. I need something. Maybe somebody has a better method than I do for this. I'd like to know what it is, but we should actually invent something for this, but maybe that'll work. Yeah, that should work. I'm just going to pull this over a little bit. I'm just using the electrical tape container to hold that windshield wiper out of the way while I get this piece manipulated and cut, trimmed, and shaped there. Really what I need to do, and I'm never cutting on the glass. I shouldn't say never. Once in a while, I'll crack a new blade and really gently go at it, but I try not to cut on the glass at all because the glass is really nowadays it's soft, and there's a lot of times when they don't properly heat treat the glass, and you end up with a soft batch. And if you scratch a window, you'll have to pay for it. So I make a habit of not doing that. I see a lot of professionals on here doing that, and even there was a conversation the other day on Tint Dude about razor scraping windows, and I just really highly recommend that you don't go that route. There's really no need to razor scrape on windows. Um, Most windows you can clean. You can rub your hand over the window and make sure you don't have anything that needs to be scraped off. 99% of the windows can be cleaned that way, and so you don't have a problem and you don't damage the glass, but you will end up running into a soft batch of glass and you'll scratch a window. And I just don't see the point. I stopped razor scraping every window maybe about 15 years ago. And I just completely stopped doing it because I ended up, I can tell you right now, 06, 07, 08, Toyota Camry, they had notorious issue with soft glass. And so I would be razor scraping, like I see a lot of people on here doing, just razor scraping, and then you do your squeegeeing. And I was scratching the windows on those vehicles consistently. Tried every different kind of razor blade, and finally I just thought, I just said to myself, I need to come up with a better, different way to do this so I'm not scratching the windows. And it became, evident that not a very small number of windows actually have some kind of contaminant on them that needs to be scraped off. And you can feel with your hand when that's present. And so what I'll do is I just scrub every window, feel with my hand. 99% of the time I don't have anything that needs to be, scraped off, and I don't bother. It makes my cleaning time faster, more efficient, safer for me, and I recommend that you do that. Just use a good scrub pad. Um, you won't have to worry about leaving contaminants behind if you use a proper squeegeeing technique, a proper and thorough squeegeeing technique where you're wiping the blade of your squeegee in between every pass. And I've been doing that for years and years without issue. So now I'm kind of just using this really heavy side to side method of shrinking here. It's been working out really well for me. Sometimes I'll go a little bit above where I'm trying to shrink and help it along by shrinking the area above. This is a tricky one. It's got a little bit of a curvature, and typically sometimes these Fords, they have like an area right in here that doesn't want to shrink as easily as you would imagine. And I'm not sure why, other than the shape of the glass. But if I use this Reich method going back and forth in a real sweeping motion, I'll get a nice shrink without much distortion, so I don't have to worry about those peanuts. Got an area here that really is kind of tricky, and then I'll go more toward the bottom and give a little heat down there. But here we can do this really slow movement. It may take a little longer, but fiddle around, play around, really get to know your material and your heat gun and your how close you are and all that kind of stuff, your temperature, all that good stuff. Get to know that by moving around, making different movements. Don't shrink in the same particular pattern on every glass. You'll notice that some windows respond better to different patterns or different actions of the heat gun, I should say. Like sometimes, and I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to go through it here. little more frequently, because if I pull and I do a circular motion, I'll get a different result. And then if I just do this back and forth motion, and this particular glass on this Ford doesn't seem to be reacting as good as I'd like to see it with this just back and forth type of pattern. But like I've never seen anybody discuss that before. And I'm not trying to brag or anything, but sometimes a circular motion works quite a bit better on certain vehicles. And my circular motion is even going over the edge to kind of pre-shrink what's in front of where I'm actually shrinking, and then I can change it up and do more of a sweeping motion after it's a little bit preheated. But get used to different patterns, because you'll see that different windows, different shapes of windows have a different effect, and it respond differently. All right. Bump the film there. I got to be careful. If I bump too hard with too much heat, I can put a hole in it. So I'm going to go under for a little bit of this. Tighten up that bottom edge. Yeah, this particular window's really not responding well to the sweeping back and forth. Let's try on this one. I'll try putting a little tension on this top edge, and we'll see what we get. I'm going to hold this heat gun further away. It's not logical to do that, but I'll tell you what, sometimes if you get closer and then draw it back some, you'll see more of an even shrinking pattern that really is nice, works out well. It isn't logical that pulling it farther away will have a better shrinking, a better effect, but it does work that way sometimes. Changes the temperature, changes the heat dispensation. And again, sometimes I want to come down and have more of an angle where the heat's going along the glass more. That works out well. Just different ways you can approach this. I know there's people sometimes struggling with the shrinking, and that you want to try all them things. If you're further away from the glass, you have less of a chance of damaging your piece, which if you're practicing, that's it's a good it's a good thing, right? Instead of damaging, wasting film, um, have a little bit more of a slower process, and really save yourself from wasting film. I'm just going to park this piece, and we'll do a little cleaning. Now, I was trained when I was learning this. The guy that I learned from was really big on the preparation and the cleaning, and I maybe have even taken that a bit further. I just want to make sure that I get a good clean install best I can. And so I'll get my piece out of the way. We'll go ahead and clean off. Now, obviously, right now, I'm just cleaning this so that I don't have dust or anything from the, smudging, or just anything that I'm going to confuse on the inside that I might think is dirt under the film or whatever. Maybe something's on the outside and I mistakenly think it's on the inside, and I try to peel the film back and go after to try to clean it, and in turn I actually do contaminate my film. So I don't want that. I just want to have a nice clean install, and so I'll do that. Let's see, what is JY says, When you wipe your squeegee after each pass, would you recommend microfiber towel or blue shop towel? I found more contaminants using shop towel versus micro. Uh, Boy, I wish I had a real definitive. I do have a definitive answer, but I actually can't tell you where to get these towels. So I have these. They're microfiber. If let's see if that'll. You see that they're microfiber, but this is actually they're really big, and they're actually chamois. They're a different kind of water absorbing microfiber that the local detail supply guy sells at the dealership, and that's what I use. And so I have tried to reverse engineer uh, and buy these online and find them from China, and I have had no luck finding them online. I don't know what they're called. I don't know where you could get them besides somebody who supplies detail products to detail shops. Maybe your uncle has somebody that comes in and out of his shop that offers something like that. But that's what I use. And you're correct in thinking, you know, you want something that has less of uh, a fiber that's going to leave, you know, particles behind, obviously. And what I've found is the tighter the cloth, the better. The finer the thread, the fabric, the tighter the weave, the better. I don't really like microfibers. They don't have any water absorbency, and so I don't really use typical microfibers for anything that includes water or moisture. I only use them with window cleaner on the windows, typically the outside. But here, I'll show this so you can see it. So now, properly squeegeeing and prepping. I've scrubbed with my scrub pad because I can't razor scrape on this window. I've wiped around the edge very carefully. I take my my towel and I actually fold it. And let me show this. So I'll take it like this and I'll fold it a couple of times. And I'll bring myself where I actually have a tight little point like that, you know. And how big is it? You know, it's a couple finger lengths wide. You can see my finger on there, and I'll just literally wipe around the edge, starting in the center with both sides, and then I give myself a clean. Now I have a clean squeegee. I've wiped my squeegee off, and I've used this pull through method, so any dust or particulate is now off on the rag if it happens to be there. Now I have a clean and dry squeegee and a clean and dry place to place my squeegee to start the actual squeegeeing process. Okay, and then I'm gonna wipe again, right? And I'm gonna place the squeegee again on this clean and dry area. Okay, and carry on with that method until you're done. And then there's no real chance. Now, I'm not going to say, hey, I never get any particulate left behind. That would be a lie. But typically, I get a pretty successful results with doing that. I got to fill my water bottle, guys. So I'm going to show you a little something here. I'm not going to get too close, but I am gonna show you. I actually took a brand new one of these gloves, and I just learned this off of this is my heat shrink glove, right? And so I took a brand new one of those. I learned this off Tint Dude, and I placed it over my nozzle. Now, guys on Tint Dude are doing different things like in an effort to filtrate and filter their water out from any particulate or calcium or any contaminants that might be in the water. They are using like a sock or some piece of t-shirt fabric and putting it over the end of the faucet to get a little bit of a filtration effect. Well, I just put a glove over mine to try it out, and it seems to be working pretty good. Although the construction of this building is 2006, And so the plumbing is relatively new. It's all PVC. I don't have a hard water problem, so I really don't have much of a contaminated water supply. But I did recently start using that alcohol, as I've been mentioning in the other videos, and I found little bits of contaminants in especially a new spray bottle that I'm not sure what it was. So I thought I would try to maybe filtrate the water a little bit more than normal. And so I've been using that system and just fiddling around. I actually think maybe it's something to do with the chemical reaction from the soap and the water and the alcohol in the bottle, a brand new bottle, because it seems to be, it only happens when the bottle's new, and then once I get the bottle kind of flowing and working, it disappears. So I don't know, but I've been really enjoying the alcohol in the I actually went and bought, I'll show you, I went and bought a couple of the spray bottles that have the 5-year guarantee. They're just the hand pump units, but like at Home Depot you can get the DEP, I think it's DEP. Here's a brand new one, or ZEP, I'm sorry, like these ZEP bottles, and they got a really nice higher quality pump that really puts out a good amount of volume and works well. So I bought one of those, but then this is the other one. This is an old one, but I bought a brand new one for my alcohol solution that I've been using. And these are like the Spray Master, and they have a 5-year guarantee on the seals, and they work pretty good. So that's what I've been using with my alcohol, and it puts out a good amount of volume. Doesn't take as many pumps, and so it's a good setup. I know there's a lot of people using a lot of different things, and they got like fancy big bottles with tubes and sprayers and more of a permanent bottle setup. Some people are using these, old soda style setups with compressed air in them, and I've tried filling around. I've got another bottle over here that I use just for my peel board. It's nothing real fancy. It's just one of them orange bottles with a longer tube on it. Let's see if you can see it. It's just down here. And that, I got the tube here. You've seen me use it, the spray nozzle. It's okay, but I just like these little Poly 2 sprayers still. Forgive me. I don't know. A lot of people don't like them and say that the seals don't last that long or whatever, but I've found they work good and I don't have a problem with them, and so I continue to use what works well for me. It's nice and mobile and light and easy to maneuver, and I've used them since the beginning, 25 years, so I don't know, I haven't done away with them yet. And yeah, you can run into where the seals don't last. Sometimes I've got one where the seal's kind of blown out. It leaks a little bit as you use it, and it doesn't bother me. I'm just getting this piece ready here. I'm going to reverse roll this and bring it over. This can be a little bit tricky, kind of a window that takes a little practice. So the interior panels on this particular vehicle do sort of obstruct the glass a little bit, and it can be a little bit tricky to get this piece in there. So let me bring this forward so you can see a little bit better, and I'll try to show you what I do. I just kind of try to get the piece in on the top, and I let the bottom dangle and hang away from the glass. As long as it doesn't bump a bunch of stuff, it usually doesn't get contaminated. And so I'll just get my reverse roll. I'll get my piece exposed, and I'll kind of go on an angle, and I'll weasel this in there. Like I said, I'm gonna keep that bottom portion just hanging off, and I'm gonna weasel this top up there, weasel it over, and I'm even gonna push it that way a little bit more, just so I got enough space, and I'm able to slide this other side in. I'm gonna let the bottom hang off. I don't know if you can see real good, but I'm gonna slide it up in there. I'm gonna get oh, I had a little issue there, but no big deal. See, I got this hanging off, so I'm just going to maneuver this, get it in place, touch it down, make sure I don't have any light gaps at the top, which is, it's a little bit tricky and a little bit hard to see up in there. So you got to spend a little extra time making sure you don't take your time, smooth this out, position properly. I want to have it nice and even, make sure I don't have any gaps. This particular, I don't want to go too far up there. I just want to go up just enough. I think that's good right there. So what I'm going to do is just spray a little bit of water. I'm going to go through my first steps here of squeegeeing. I just want to make sure you can look up in there. If you go too far, you'll see the film will bunch up. It's like it's hitting something, either the adhesive that holds the window in place, or maybe a panel, and that's a spot that's going to cause like contamination to just go flowing under your film. So you want to watch out for that. Make sure I don't have any light gaps. I'm going to really take an extra minute to make sure I'm evenly positioned, no light gaps, no bunching up. And then I'm going to start squeegeeing. I am going to just tack down this middle portion, get myself, stuck to these lines. So I'm really stuck down. I got a finger there that I'm going to have to heat up. No big deal. I can do that. I'm going to focus on smoothing this out so that I kind of draw any relief down to the bottom where I can easily heat it. Sometimes you don't shrink the window as good as you thought you did, and you don't really want to have bubbles up in here that you've got to deal with, because moisture will run in and flow into them, and you'll end up contaminating your piece. So I've got some shrinking to do at the bottom. Before I get too far, I'm going to take my my diamond. My easy reach, I'm sorry. And I got my slip tape on there, but I'm gonna squeegee the water away from this film. I don't want it to suck back underneath. All right. And so I'm gonna do the same here. I'm gonna focus on bringing my relief. I want this top portion to lay flat. I'm gonna bring my relief down to the bottom where I can easily shrink it. Of course, I got to be careful when I'm squeegeeing down here because I don't want to crease anything. But I'm going to draw that relief down to the bottom where I'm not going to have to worry about shrinking up at the top or having moisture suck back under the film. I notice here now I got a hair, a very small hair. Let me get this closer so you can see this, what I'm going to do. I've got a hair under the film. All right, so I'm gonna get this. All right, I'm back. I'm wrestling my cables here. Soon I'm gonna have a better setup with multiple cameras and whatnot. But I'm gonna show this best I can. It's probably better right there. So I got a hair underneath the film. It's a little tiny, really short hair. Maybe it's like a quarter inch of a piece of hair. But what I'm gonna do is I am going to surgically remove that thing. So I'm going to take my my easy reach and I'm going to get underneath it, and I'm pulling downward till I can kind of get access to this thing. And then I'm going to I'm just going to rub my finger in that area to loosen the hair up. And then I'm going to make sure anywhere where I peeled the film off the glass, I got to have water there now, or I'll end up with bubbles. So I'm going to real carefully tuck it back in, and then I am going to re-squeegee. And did I get it? Yes, I did. Did I leave any extra contaminants under? No, I didn't. So that's good. So okay, so I got that. Now I need to do a final squeegee job, really just to remove the majority of the water so it doesn't dry under the film. And so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take my time there, and I'm putting a little more pressure. You can even tell in my voice I'm kind of struggling a little bit. I'm pressing a little bit harder. I've got some shrinking to do at the bottom here. Okay, I'm pressing a little harder. I'm actually wiping the squeegee in between so I can see what I've squeegeed and what I haven't. And I want to make sure I have a clean surface so I can see if I have any hairs like I just did. And get this squeegeed out. Okay, and I'm feeling pretty confident with that. As I always like to say, I'm going to go ahead and go around this and make sure I got all the water out here. I don't want to have anything leak back underneath after I look away from it. I will do that a couple of times, and I'm even still going to do that a little bit more with a paper towel around a regular hard card. I'm going to do some drying and get the moisture out of the way, whatever's on the panel, so I don't have watermarks. Okay, and let me back that up, and let me get my heat gun and my hard card here with my paper towel. So on this car, it's a Ford. I think I did a Ford the last time. I'm not going to be popping panels. I'm going to do top loading, and there's a lot of extra space on these. I have the option in my pattern software to cut short patterns, and that's what I'll do. All right, so it's probably hard for you to see, but I got some bubbles, and I'm just going to very carefully take my time and just lightly heat them and smooth them out with my squeegee here with my hard card until I have a nice edge that's laying down real nice, completely laid down. Take your time, be patient. Don't get too close. You'll melt what you got or cause yourself a crease. Now, obviously, this is something that you can only do in a hatchback. I don't shrink like this inside of a, like a sedan. This isn't something that I would do. But then again, on those windows, they usually shrink well enough on the outside where you don't have a need for this extra step. All right. This will lift off and kind of not want to stick for a little bit. Don't panic. Just keep giving a little even heat, and eventually you'll end up with a real nice intimate adhesion, and you don't have to worry about it peeling. And if so, sometimes you can that's why I have that electrical tape around. Sometimes the film doesn't want to stick to the ceramic real good that's around the glass, so you might get it all and it might just kind of want to be curling off the film. You can put a little piece of electrical tape there that's hidden, um, especially when you're beginning and you're just getting started. That's something you can do, and just to keep that edge down. I mean, that's not something like a professional is going to want to be doing on a regular basis, but you're going to notice that when you're getting started, you're going to be utilizing things like blackout tape, and you're going to be dealing with creases. You're going to be using maybe some paint markers to cover up some light gaps and different things like that. And as you get better, then you don't need to use them. But any of the supply outfits are selling those products, so that lets you know that people are using them, and you shouldn't beat yourself up about using them if you're just getting started. So we got no more comments. If anybody has any comments or anything they want to add, feel free. I'm going to back this up now, just give a little bit more of a open view, just share any ideas or anything that I might have here. If Ahmad's watching, he probably wants me to shut up, but I'm just going to keep talking, man. Keep sharing. I got I'm going to peel this window sticker off. Use the heat gun. I want to make sure that I can reposition this on the front window easily without damaging this sticker if possible. Sometimes you can't help it, but a lot of times a little pulling away from the glass, a little heat, and the thing will just release real nice. And then I can just re-stick it. Really taking my time, being patient. There we go. Whole window sticker off, no adhesive left behind, nothing extra clean. Works pretty well with used car lot buyer guides if you happen to run into that. I had a new subscriber I'm curious about that works at a Toyota dealership. I forget where it was, but I happened to notice that, which is cool. So I'd like to know if he's a tinter. I know a lot of Toyota dealerships or just car dealerships in general down south, they usually employ a tinter, maybe even two if they're doing a lot of window tinting, because down south a lot of cars will get tint. It's hotter, more sun. It's very common for them to get windows tinted right on a brand new car. It's like expected. Nobody's buying a car without tinted windows down there. So I'd like to know, brother, if you watch or you end up watching later, you're watching now, let us know. I forget your name, but you just became part of the group the other day, which is cool. Want to welcome you. And I'd like to know more about what you're doing down there. I think that's really interesting when a guy works exclusively for one dealership. You know, imagine you just work at Toyota, you do nothing but brand new Toyotas every day. That's kind of cool. So, yeah, I'd like to know more about that. I find that interesting. And so, so like I said earlier, I got my short patterns here. I'm gonna get those cut and rock and rolling. My steamer is preheated and ready to go for this strip job. I really hate stripping windows. You don't get paid enough for the amount of work that's involved. Typically, sometimes you'll end up with a real easy one that'll really be worth it, but overall, it's not something I really enjoy doing. So, all right, got two cut. We'll get the other two going here. Yeah, I officially decided on a couple of different vehicles that I wasn't going to pop the panels on. In particular, Ford Focus is one of them. Chevy Malibus, Impalas. I'm not popping those anymore unless it's a customer car. If it's a dealer car, just a car on the lot, I'm gonna top load. Keep those skills at a professional level, and I think it's a little faster and a little bit less of a headache. The door panels aren't really designed really well on those particular cars, and I don't like taking them off. I don't like messing with them. There's far too many screws and fasteners, and they're not like, they don't come off really easily. I'm sure somebody might argue they come off. You can get them off, but I think I can shrink the bottoms and top load and have a clean install on those particular vehicles. And I think it makes sense for me to just top load on these couple vehicles for my purposes here with these car lot cars from the dealership. Definitely going to pop panels if it's a customer car and I really want the utmost in cleanliness and perfection. Then I'll pop top load or bottom load and pop panels, because that definitely is surefire. Like if I end up with a couple little specks of dust on these cars in the area where the window rolls up and down, where the split happens when you top load, I'm not gonna cry over that on these cars. But yeah, if it's a customer car, then I'm definitely gonna go the extra mile, make sure I get as close to absolute perfection as possible. Curious what people are doing out there. I get some comments here and there on the videos. Getting a lot of views, getting a lot of watch time, actually. The views don't look too impressive, but the watch time is pretty decent for some of these longer videos. You know, I know a lot of people are enjoying like a 7 to 10 minute video, and it's kind of what I'm trying for on my edited stuff, which I haven't gotten many new videos up here recently, but been super busy. Got a few things I'm working on here that are prohibiting me from all the time I need for the website stuff. I got purchase of this building. I had to switch lenders. The first lender was trying to rip me off, and so I had to dump that lender and go to another lender. And so that's one thing I got working. Then I got my wife is applying for a green card. She's from the Philippines. And so we've been dealing with the process of applying for that and going to appointments. And then when they ask for stuff, you got to produce all these documents. So I've been getting all that stuff together. I'm preparing for tax time. I set up an S corporation, so I had to split all my accounts from, you know, personal and business stuff, and just a lot of stuff that's been preventing me from focusing 100% on this website stuff. But I'll get to it. No rush. Get some content up, make some new friends, help people out, and we'll get where we're gonna go here. So I had a sticker on this window, just getting rid of that, make sure I got all the adhesive. So one time I will do some razor scraping, just get rid of all that adhesive. These are pretty straightforward. I just scrub and then use my my yellow turbo, which is hard for you to see there. But I'm gonna do some shrinking over here. I forgot about that. I'm gonna top load, so I got to do some shrinking. So I can share a little bit of that while I do it. And it's kind of tough to see. That might work. So I'm just gonna, I gotta trim these out a little bit more precisely. This is my favorite little cutter if you guys use a glass peel board. It's the pizza style craft. You can see the blades kind of rusted up, but I really enjoy using those. The blades last forever. I literally have had this blade in this cutter for like a year. So they work really well. They last really well. And excellent on the peel board. Doesn't scrape up your peel board like a regular blade will, because you're not dragging anything. So I highly recommend, if you use a glass peel board, you can order these style cutters from all the tint supply places. Typically have them. I know I have been. I'm gonna probably be looking for a new supply outfit here soon. But I've been using Conqueror tools, and they have those rotary style cutters. I'll smooth my pieces out so I can actually shrink. Get the moisture out of there. And same for the other side. I think I'm gonna actually, I think his name is Tint Daddy. I don't know if Tint Daddy's watching, but J-Wise is one of the watchers. I know it's tough to gauge when I'm gonna be on. As I get a little bit more into this here, I'm gonna have some set times, I think. And then people will be able to plan ahead and jump in. But one of the guys that was on here, there's a couple of them, Jay Bird and then Tint Daddy. I'd like to talk with these guys more and You know, they're veterans. They've been doing this for years, and you can always learn stuff from these guys. So I'd like to get them on. I'm gonna see if I can invite that Tint Daddy on. He commented and noticed that I had my plotter raised off the its original factory height, I guess you would say. And I extended the height of it just so I didn't have my pieces dragging on the floor. And so he noticed that he had his raised up too. So little things that we do that are creative that others are, you know, doing the same stuff. All right, so I'm just going to shrink these bottoms up here. You guys have probably seen me do this before, some of my other videos. I actually, I made a really cool, if you guys want to check it out, I did a little heat box test with a temperature gun, testing a couple of the different Reno window films that I use, or ceramic window films. So I took a temperature gun and I did some temperature readings. You can see this video on my Film Pro, Film Proficient, youtube.com/film proficient. Or Film Pro. You can see that video there. I did that for my customers for my regular business web page, but it's kind of turned out to be a cool video. But I got some videos there that I just kind of just for my customers when they shop my website. Some stuff I have on there for them to look at. But you can go check that video out. Maybe I'll post it on Tin Academy as well. Yeah, I probably will. It's a pretty good video. Just shows that this ceramic window film is no joke. It's not some gimmick. It's not some hyped up gimmick. It's got real benefit, and you can see that the different levels of film that they're utilizing at Reno have benefit and are, you know, reducing the infrared heat, and are really, really nice. Really excited about working with Reno. Enjoying their product. It's very, very much a high-end window film, and you can get it at a really good, affordable price. It's really worth looking at. I know people are using all different types of, you know, films that are, you know, the claim is that they're made in America, which I don't personally believe after my own research. I think the claim is there. The companies have offices here, but I don't think the actual manufacturing is really happening here. If you believe it is, hey, that's cool. I'm skeptical of that. But if you're using some of these traditional expensive films, there are new names out there that are affordable, and a lot of them are just reboxed, rebranded versions of these companies are selling, you know, like Lumar, Eastman Chemical Company. They're selling, you know, rebranded generic films, and then somebody else comes along and buys it and puts their name on it. Well, Reno is actually a manufacturer doing big things. It's a South Korean manufacturer, and you probably have a Korean or a Chinese phone in your pocket, so don't poo-poo the idea. Go check it out. You can find your local distributor. They'll send you a sample, and I really like what they have to offer. I'm not getting paid. I should have an affiliate link if I keep talking like this, but I'm just excited to share with you, and you can check it out. I'll be done here in a minute. I know it's not the greatest. You can't really see the shrinking process, and soon I will have some stuff available for that. Really would like for this to be more of a hangout, but it's kind of hard with the time frame and when I go live, so I realize that. All right, so that's shrunk. I'm gonna grab a little water here. Got my distilled water over here, trying to drink a gallon of water a day. And distilled, yes. Go look it up. Go Google it, or you look it up on YouTube and type in The truth about distilled water. Go check it out. All right, so I'm going to just lay this back, adjust this height here, and I'm going to start a little more cleaning. Now I'm going to clean these doors here and then get these going. Put my ignition on. Mostly this video was just for the beginning there. I really wanted to share that spoiler removal, and I'll put it back on here in a bit. But the rest is just kind of sharing some thoughts. If you guys have not yet gone to, you can go and join at the Facebook group and get insight there. It's facebook.com/groups/Tint Academy. And or you can see the website. Now here's an example of this, right? So I'm scrubbing this window. I'm not gonna razor scrape because I don't feel the need, but I did because I'm feeling this. I've found something that does need to be either scraped or scrubbed a little harder, and I'm gonna go ahead and just scrub it a little more, and it's gone. So I highly recommend that you utilize this method of feeling the glass. And I found yet another piece of adhesive right here. And you'd be surprised how fast you can go over these windows and find little areas that need a little extra attention. There must have been another sticker on this window before because I'm finding little chunks of adhesive and some sort of tree material. I'm not sure what that is, but anyway. All right, so then I'm feeling pretty confident with that. And there's a lot of room past the edge on these, so I just go ahead and squeegee, wipe my blade, squeegee down the other side, wipe my blade. Every time I take my squeegee off the glass, I wipe my blade. That's a proper squeegee method. If you're not doing that, you're probably going to end up leaving contaminants on the glass. I don't know how anybody gets away with not doing that, because anytime I've ever done it, I've always left little trails of contaminants on the window itself and then end up with that underneath my film. I got a Sirius XM sticker here, so I'm just going to carefully shave that and just give a little scrape there. That adhesive, typically when it's like hard right off the sticker, doesn't really want to scrub off real well. So that's when the blade does come in handy, and I only used it in that real tight little confined area. And then I'm going to go back at this, spray down what we have here. I'm going to be utilizing the alcohol mixed solution for my installs, so I get my window cleaned. And then when I'm ready to install, I'm only going to spray the bottom half of the window, or just a little bottom section, leaving the top dry. I'm going to spray the piece of film with the alcohol solution. So once I get it in place, it's positioned, I squeegee it down. The alcohol activates the adhesive, keeps it locked in place, and really makes things easy for installation, because your piece isn't going to slide around. And it's really just been nothing but a blessing for me to utilize that system here with the alcohol. I explained that, and I think in the last video, how I was enjoying that. And so I made a video all about it on the Tint Academy there. You can see it. And it's talking about shaved edges and alcohol. So go check that out if you want more insight. That was kind of when I was experimenting. As I've said before, I'm learning from people just like you, and I'm not afraid to do that. I'm excited to do that. I've really had advancements in my installs and just become overall a better installer, keeping my mind open to what other people are doing. So I highly recommend that you don't ever shut off your ability to see what others are doing. And I plan to have some other veterans on here that are doing things, and I'd like to. I probably should just start inviting some of these other guys that are making videos on the show here, on the Hangout, and then we can powwow with them. I think I'll do that. I tell you what, I think I'll just do that. I'm gonna make a commitment here to you, and what I'm gonna do is the next Hangout, I'm gonna have somebody on here, one of these other guys making videos, and just to interview and share and gain even further insight. There's so many people on here making videos and sharing their heart, sharing their skills, and I'm really interested to talk with them. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna throw some invites out and see who I can get to come aboard. Then we can listen to them talk, and then Ahmad or whatever, he'll be happy that I'm not talking the whole time. All right, so we almost got this ready to go. And this one last window, I'm just feeling to see what I got. I know you probably can't see the greatest. Yeah, you can see a little bit. It's not a real detailed close-up bit of info, but all right. Get this last one squeegeed up. And we are ready to install. So here, I'll share a little bit. I'm not gonna get this really close. I'll go as close as I possibly can without having the need for an extension cord or any of that stuff. So hang tight. Get this tool cart out of the way. And so that'll give you a little bit of a ability to see. I'm at the end of my network cable there. So on these small windows, I'm not going to spray the window at all. I'm just going to spray the piece with the alcohol solution, and I'm going to weasel this piece in there. And it's really nice because it sticks down very well, handling my piece without touching anything. But I'm going to get it in a position where I can actually just slide it right in there nicely, and without touching any of the side panels. Slide it up and get it in position. Make sure I don't have any light gaps. Then I'll just spray a little bit for a little lubricant. And then what I like to do is I like to stand outside the car. It's a lot better, a lot easier. I'm just gonna tack it down, make sure it doesn't move. Typically it's not going to with the alcohol. And then I'm just out here. I'm just squeegeeing. You really be surprised on some of these windows. If you're sitting inside the car, you'll struggle and you'll have a little bit of a hard time to try to position your hand to squeegee effectively. And once you step outside the car and you're just reaching in there, you'll be so surprised how things open up and it's so much easier for you. So anytime you're having a hard time squeegeeing one of these small windows, try this method of just going outside the vehicle and just reaching in and squeegeeing that way, and you'll see what I mean. This is one of the few windows that I use a final step of an old-fashioned style dry squeegee process with a paper towel. It's really about the only time I do. And the reason I do is, like a back window, I just want to dry the area toward the edge. I don't want water to come sucking back under the film. And I can tell now, this window, it literally turned out perfect. I mean, no contaminants. Maybe one little speck here that I might have to iron out. But other than that, and so on this, that one's done. Here's what I'll do. So you can see this piece here. I'm not going to spray the whole window. I'm going to get in the channel and I'm going to go across the bottom section like that. And I'm going to leave that. And this is a method that I learned from that other guy. I'm going to have him on as a guest if I can get him on. Boy, I forgot his name now. I left a link in that other video though to his video. Man, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. Oh, it was an older guy, and this was his method. And I watched it just a few weeks ago and thought, and actually Jay Bird was the one that turned me on to it, but I liked what I seen, and so I started incorporating it in my installs, and that's it. It became my new system because it works so well. I have to adjust my soap levels continually because my climate is changing so frequently. Like when it's cold out in the winter, I need less soap, but when it warms up, then I need more soap. And so I'm always kind of having that imbalance where I'm changing my slip solution, which causes my film to have more of a tendency to slip around if my solution is not precise. And so this alcohol really eliminated that slippage and that repositioning that I was running into. And so I can't tell you how awesome it is. If you've ever done any paint protection film, then you would know how that alcohol works. And so it's also eliminated my need to heat the corners, because basically this window is now ironed down just from the alcohol. I'm careful not to dig too far into the edges there where my split is, because I don't want to agitate that material and cause it to suck dirt and whatever back up. So I'm going to worry about that after the roll up. I'm going to roll it up. Then I'm going to draw out in the middle and draw these side portions and get them positioned properly, so when I peel my excess, I don't have anything exposed touching the plastic. That way I won't contaminate anything. And I'm using the alcohol solution under there as well. Very gently, I'm peeling the excess. I'm holding the film in a position so it's not going to pull away from the glass and create a vacuum effect, sucking in contaminants. Just really carefully tucking and smoothing. And once I got that in place, I will give a little spritz for lubrication, and then I will squeegee. I'm using my side swiper, my favorite install tool by far. Best longevity I've seen in any tool. I actually have a spot here where I didn't shrink good enough. So I'm going to have to pull the heat gun out. I'm just going to do some drying around the edge. I'm not going to touch the window film down low there and mess with that area that I need to shrink. But I'm just going to get the majority of the water out of the way here. And I got a hair again. I don't know. There must be dog hair or something in this car. So what I got to do is more surgery. So I'm just going to take my easy reach in the center, pop the film. I'm going to have to pull a little back. It's good for you to see this, because if you're just getting started, I'm literally going to have to peel this up. And again, I am going to spray. I drop my piece back down, but I'm going to spray, and then I'm going to agitate the area where the hair was and spray it out of the way. All right. And this alcohol works so good that it really has this film. Make sure if you do something like that again that you spray the film everywhere where you peeled it up so you don't end up with a water bubble. Anything that lifts off the glass must be sprayed again. And I didn't get it. It moved somewhere else. It just moved over. All right, so again, it moved over here. And now this time I'm really going to focus on where it is and just do that one little area. Now this is typically something you wouldn't deal with if you had just popped the panel and bottom loaded. So if anybody who knows what's up is watching, that's probably what they're thinking right now. They're like, yeah, if you would have just popped the panel. But this isn't something that would happen on every window. It's really something that would only happen very randomly. And so it's not something you're going to deal with on a real regular basis. I'm just going to make sure I got enough moisture underneath there. I had an area that I was a little tight, little dry, a little too much dryness there. So I applied a little bit more moisture, and we got it. It's clean. There's no contaminants now, and probably that just happened, so I could share that with you of how to do that. Even though you can't see real good. In the future here, what I'm going to have is I'm going to have my live stream video, but I'm going to also have some close-up stuff that'll be available on the website. So you'll have to be a member to get that, and that's going to be something that, you know, I'm going to draw people into the community with and share that way. But you get the gist. So I'm back again. I'm drying, and then I'm going to heat that little area up. So now that's, you know, people have commented that they really like that I'm doing that I'm showing when mistakes are happening. I mean, this is real life tinting 101. I mean, you're going to run into these kind of situations. So it's nice if you can recall on somebody else having issues and what they did, and you know what to do when you have those issues. And so you got to be careful too when you bring the heat gun close to the interior. I'm not pointing at the plastic at all. I'm literally pointing on the glass only. And we got it all set there, so we should be good. You can easily melt the door panel if you accidentally focus your heat right at the panel. Don't do that. These things are, you know, for somebody just getting started, it's questionable as to whether you should even do something like that. But you're going to run into situations where you're going to need to. So just heed my warning. Be very careful. Don't point down, even though your finger's down at the bottom. Don't point your heat down where you're pointing it at a part of the door panel. It will melt the material real quick. Point the heat exclusively at the glass, and it'll actually naturally go where you need it. That's enough said there. It'll work out for you, but don't point it at the material for the door panel. Trust me when I tell you that it will melt and you will be paying for a repair. Typically, a car dealership, let's say you're working on a friend's car, you're a beginner, and you accidentally damage a panel and they're pissed and they want you to buy a new one. What you need to do is call the local car dealerships and ask to talk to the managers. Ask to talk to the used car manager. Tell them your situation and ask for a referral, which they'll gladly give you, for somebody that does vinyl and leather and carpet repair. That is the guy that you need. You need the repair specialist that they work with that repairs their stuff, because car dealerships are dealing with this all the time. So if you run into this kind of a situation, you don't need to go running out. Just if you already know the information, if this happens, then you can just tell your whoever you're working on their car, just say, hey, I apologize. But don't worry, this is only like a $30 repair, and you'll never even know it was there. They're literally that good. These repair guys, they'll repair a big burn mark, or a melted area in a door panel, or some scuff on a leather, or whatever you might run into, and it'll look like it was never there, and it'll cost you under $50 for sure. So you'll eat $50, but it'll be much better than you having to buy a whole door panel. And if you don't know to tell somebody that when it happens, then you'll just say, "Oh, okay, I guess we got to buy a door panel." Don't panic, and just tell them with confidence, "Oh, don't worry, I got a guy that fixes this. I'll give him a call." And then you can go and find a guy if you want to get a business card from somebody beforehand. So if you run into this, you already got them on speed dial. You could do a little research and find that person beforehand, so you're ready in case that does happen. It's very rare. It's very rare. I think I've melted one or two panels in my day. But it's nice to know who those people are, and they're also people that can refer you business. If you have a business card, you can touch base with these vendors and share your information and let them know what you do. And you never know, they might go to their next car dealer and give your name to the next car dealer, and the next thing you know, you got a referral off of a guy that you just talked to one time. And so that's something that happens, and that I've gotten business off of guys like that. So that can work for you in your market. All right, guys. So we're just about done with this side. I'm going to finish these couple of sides here. Finish this other side, then I'll put that wing back on, and then we'll be done here for today. And I got to carry on. I got a few cars I need to do. I got a retail customer at 5 p.m. to do. But I wanted to come in here today and make a video. It takes me way too long per car when I actually make a video. I'm gonna spray this panel here so I won't have no watermarks. Just dry it all even. All right, and I'm actually gonna get into this area here. Get that nice and set up. And we are good. Looking good, looking good. I'll move that. Check out the other side here for you, so you're not just watching an empty video there. All right. All right. We'll go to this side. Share a little bit over there. And yeah, Wednesdays, I typically start late. I start at 1, 12, 1, work till like 9. Give an opportunity for people that can't really get here 9 to 5 during the day. I have a couple of days where I have like Wednesday night and Sunday appointments available. And then I take off usually Friday and Saturday, but I've been doing half days on Friday too, because I've been just needing the money for this purchase and all the stuff I'm dealing with. So I've been just taking one day off lately. The Shabbat, the Sabbath day, on Saturday, the 7th day. So I don't work on that day. Rest on that day. But Every other day is a work day. 6 days you shall labor, on the seventh day you shall rest. So that's how I do it. Now you'll notice on this one, I squeegeed this one. I actually sat inside the car for the whole thing. I don't know why. Sometimes I'm just talking to you and just veering off track a little bit on my natural protocol. But I'm gonna do my little. I got these little triangle units. These are really nice, tri-edge, and they got that little rubber portion there at the bottom. These are really great for going into the door jambs and removing water because they actually have a little squeegeeing effect with that rubber portion there. So they're real nice and they won't scratch. So like I'll go in there and this particular time I'm just using the hard edge with the paper towel, but I wonder who the second viewer is. I know I got JY's in here. Who are you, second watcher? JY says he watched my close-up top load vid 15 times. Yeah, he says I'm fascinated with that fold you do on the second step portion. You know what, bro? I mean, that is really a calculated maneuver on there. I'm not trying to puff myself up at all. What I'm saying to you is I've failed so many times in the area of where the fold is that if I came up with that precise method so that I could almost certainly guarantee that I wouldn't have any contamination, because really most tint places really will get even angry about the top load and they don't consider it professional because it's so almost so certainly a contaminated area for most installers that they just most tint shop owners won't even allow their installers to do it that way, which I understand fully. um if you don't have a really like this is the hardest thing to train a new guy with. If you don't have if you have a new guy and you want to have him up and running and tinting windows as soon as possible, then you want to have him popping panels and bottom loading because anybody could do it. My wife comes and helps me on these cars for the car dealership. My wife knows how to bottom load. She can do a perfect window, and she tinted windows. Well, she's helped me off and on for the last, I don't know, since she's been in the country, which is about a year and a half. But now we have a newborn, so she doesn't really come as much. But inside of 6 months, I had my wife doing full bottom load windows, the full job. But like if you're trying to teach a new guy with all the things that you have to learn, cleaning and every little detail about this business, and then to try to expect somebody who's new to top load properly without contamination on a professional level so you can actually send cars down the road, it's like forget about it. It's not happening. So most tin shops won't even entertain or even allow anybody to do any top loading because the risk margin is so high that it's just not even worth it to them. So they really only want popped off panels or completely removed panels and bottom loading because it's so much easier and it produces such a better result. But this particular method that I use of making sure I know what the position of the piece is in and how this is curling and not touching on the sides, and this method and even the way that I hold until I'm ready to install, I mean, this whole thing is a scientific process that I came up with over years and years and years of how the heck do I do this without damaging or contaminating the piece. And it's all just a perfect dance of proper positioning and holding and manipulation that allows me to get this in without any contaminants. I mean, I can usually see there's certain cars where the gaskets are just they're just manufactured in a way where top loading works, and there's some cars where it's not gonna work no matter what you do. And so like this Ford, there's a lot of extra room around the gaskets and seals, and it allows for a good clean install even when top loading. But if you're a new guy, I recommend that you spend just a little time learning how to pop panels, because you can do literally a professional job in a shorter amount of time. I think you need to know how to do top loading, but I think you'll have so much confidence built up in yourself if you do bottom loading first that it'll be. I think a lot of people quit doing this because they don't have good results top loading, and they get contaminants and they have problems and it's a nightmare, and they'll quit after one or two attempts. I've seen many people do that. I can't tell you how many people you'll run into that come into your shop, or you'll tint their windows and they'll say, yeah, I tried tinting once. I mean, it's literally that heartbreaking, where the average person will try to tint windows one time and then they're done because it's so literally devastating to your it's just it breaks your heart. You get the materials and you get the stuff and you want to do it, and you try it one time and then it doesn't go right, and then you're just, people are just so just devastated emotionally that they just don't even want to try it again, which is how most people are in life. They don't want to really put in the effort, but it's good for us, I guess, huh? All right, I'm just in the background here. I'm making a new bottle of the solution with the alcohol, and the new alcohol bottle, they changed the cap design just a little bit, so I got to figure out a new mixture here. But what I'm going to do is I am going to finish this one window. I mean, I wish I could show you, but literally this particular window, there's one little speck here, and I kind of look at them, and I do this where I go at different angles, because the light will reflect off little contaminants. You'll be able to see them, and then they really show up good outside. There's a couple contaminants in that window. I'm going to iron that out with heat here when I get done. But all in all, I mean, it's more than acceptable. I could easily just tell you, hey, it turned out perfect. I don't do that. I think you'll probably appreciate that I don't do that. I'm not really one to just sit and bullshit you, and I've every little mistake that's happened here, I've shared with you, and I think it's a better learning opportunity, and it's a better. If you're sitting there thinking I'm doing every window perfect, and then when you're doing windows, you're like, what the hell? This isn't working. I think that's a disservice to you. It might help to make you frustrated and not even want to do this anymore. You're not going to do this perfect. It's not going to happen. It's impossible. I tell you what, I could do a perfect car. I would schedule one car a day and just do each window over and over and over and over again until it turned out perfect. Then I could do a perfect car. It's just not real world. I don't care who's doing the car. I will look at it and inspect it. I will find contaminants, at least one or two specks of dust. I don't care who does it. The guy that's in the area here, that's my competitor that does phenomenal work that I model myself after over the years, and I wouldn't badmouth or bad talk about him or what he does or his business, not even one little bit. I have looked at his work with a fine-tooth comb, and every job I ever looked at, I've found at least a couple specks of dust. I mean, and this guy is basically I've been, here 25 years. This guy's 30 years, and everybody knows him. He's, had a retail facility all of that time when I had mobile, and that way you're not getting all that retail customer base and all that stuff. So I'm kind of still to this day, I'm in his shadow. I don't care. I work every day. It's a-okay. He does good work. If somebody calls here and says something, I tell him, hey, that guy does excellent work. One of the things you might find that you aren't excited about is he charges a little more than I do, and he's usually booked up a little longer than I am. So I might be able to help you out a little sooner. That might be attractive, and I might be able to save you a few bucks. So maybe that might interest you. That's what I tell them. In fact, don't badmouth anybody if you're in business, and if I can give you any advice, don't badmouth anybody. You know, I mean, there's places around that I don't badmouth them. I might tell somebody the truth. Like if there's places in town, if you go and have your windows tinted there, your car might come back smelling like weed, and you might have damage on your car. You got to be a little bit. You might want to when you take your car there, you might want to make sure you do a walk around and say, hey, okay, I got a clean car with no dings or dents, and that's what I expect to get back. I got a phone call here, but I'm not going to answer. I'll call them back when I'm done with you guys. Anyway, so yeah, just don't badmouth people. It's okay to position yourself in a little bit more professional light, and say, hey, I can guarantee I'm not going to smoke in your car, and I'm going to give it the utmost, careful, detailed attention. I'm not sure if you'll get that at that other place. What I always do, and this always gives you credibility, when I have to talk about some of these other places, I'll always say, hey, that's probably not a place I would recommend to you. But this other guy over here that does do really good work, I recommend if you don't pick me, then go there, because I know that you're going to be getting a good, solid, professional install there. So go there, and that way you're not really bad mouthing somebody too bad, and you're giving them another alternative. You're letting them know that you're humble, and they can trust you, and people like that. They like it when I tell them, hey, go to this. If you don't come here, if you don't decide to come here, the only other place I would send you is so and so over here. They do good work, and people like that. So we're gonna finish this up, guys. I am just gonna hit this edge here. I noticed the film lifted a little bit. It had time to dry now. So what I will do there to make sure that doesn't lift anymore is I will go over that, and I'm actually just I got a couple little bubbles here. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000. That's about it. 7 1,000s, 7 seconds. And I got a couple little lifters here in the edge. And I might give it a little extra blast there. That should be good. I'm gonna hit this edge. You can feel underneath as well. A little in the middle just to even it out. And then I'm gonna just kind of squeegee over that top edge there. Make sure. It looks like I got a little crease again. This is 2 weeks in a row. I think I got a little crease the last time I spoke with you. It's actually spanning a defroster line. So what I'm going to do, what I typically do is I'll actually, and this one's close to the edge, so I'm going to cut right on the line. Okay, now no one's going to see that, and I'm going to share this with you. And what I'm going to do is now I can actually fix this crease, and I can draw it in. I'm going to give it a little more heat, and then I'm just going to smooth it out towards the line, ending my stroke at the line, just to seat it down so no one will see it. And that's something you can do In fact, it's something you're gonna have to get good at. You're gonna run into creases if you're using a good film. This film is my cheaper stuff that I put on the dealer cars. It's just okay, but it does crease repair decent enough. Some cheap films with cheap adhesives, they just don't work. The adhesive isn't thick enough to draw into the crease area and kind of heal itself, and it turned out fine. But yeah, I cut right on the line, and then I just heated it up to the point where when I run my chiseler over it, it smooths out to the point where it's not holding any moisture, and you just really can't see it. But it's there, it's there. I did that crease last week. I didn't post a picture, but I took a picture outside where the crease was. You couldn't see it at all. And so you're just going to have to learn how to do these things. I'm going to make little videos on these here in the near future. And actually, what I'm going to do is in the Facebook group, during my normal daily work routine, I'm going to make little videos on my phone and just upload them into Facebook and then tag them in the group so that you can go there and search in the group and find them. So the group is closed. Go join the group. Is the point of that. Go and join the group, facebook.com/groups/tint academy. Go join the group because it's going to be worth your time. The members are slowly trickling in, and eventually it'll be hopping. I know there's other groups going and stuff right now, but so what we got here is we're back, and we've got, and I'll pull you in here so you can just see what we got here. Get you drawed in here so you can see what we got as we go through this. It's just simple from this point forward. I got all my parts right there in my magnetic tray. I can't lose nothing now, so everything's all in one. I'm gonna take my 3 screws that are I think what did I say, 5/32? 5/16. I'm sorry, and I'm just gonna real gently. I don't want to cross the threads. So very gently, I'm gonna get those put in place. Couple impact drive at the end there, just the impact driver. I don't want to reef on it too much because those things will break easy. They're usually just cheap white metal screws. These, like I said earlier, are so cheap that the threads will rust right out on them. I put the wrong bit in. I put in a Phillips bit. I don't know why. Where's that bit now? Hang tight. Here it is. All right, and I think it's a T20. Yep, T20. So we got a T20 here on these side portions here. And the same thing. I'm not going to over tighten these. It's kind of like when you tighten a gas, when you fill your gas tank and you get them an extra couple clicks to make sure it's tightened. I'm only going to do a couple clicks with the impact driver because this thing is strong enough to just blow those heads right off them screws. Not easily. Just hear me when I tell you, it'll rip the head off of these bolts and no problem. I've done it, and you'll end up doing, like, if I bust the head off of one of these and there's still 2 that can hold, that's okay. I mean, it's not awesome, but if you bust 2 of them, you're probably gonna have to drill one of those bolts out of there and use like a screw extractor set. I mean, you just don't want to do that. So just don't do that. So I'm gonna go ahead, snap that into place, and we got another watcher here. I like that idea with the short phone clips. Short phone clips. Good touch. Thank you, sir. I'm I'm wondering what you meant now. Now I'm wondering, like, am I that old that I'm super forgetful, or what are you talking about? um, okay, so anyways, this is we're good with that. So the only thing I need to do, guys, if you got any questions or anything, feel free to throw them up there. Uh, this car normally it would take me about an hour and 15 minutes, and whatever I got watch time now 2 hours. I don't know. It's just too long. But it's just hard not to do these videos and share every thought and try to help. And either way, I'd love it if you guys would say hi, whoever the other two watchers are. Share if you're a professional and you're in this industry. Love to know what you do differently. I'm not here to boast myself or lift myself up on a pedestal. I'm literally here to create something where people can come in and learn, and I'm open-minded. I'm known. I've been known to adapt and learn something from somebody else. If you're a guy who's in the business a year and I see you're doing something that is more efficient than what I'm doing, I'm copying what you're doing. I'm not too proud. I want to be as efficient as possible. I'd like to do 10 hours of work in 6 hours and go home and be with my newborn. So I'm willing to learn. So if you're on here and you're a pro and you leave a message, I would email you. We can set something up where we can chat or we can get together on here and share. And I'd love to do that. So, anyways, guys, that is about it. I want to thank you for watching. Hopefully, something I shared was helpful. I'm going to cut it off here, but if you haven't already joined the group, facebook.com/groups/Tin Academy, or you can see changes in the website at learnhowtothinkcarwindows.com, where the home of Tin Academy is. Going to start putting some content on there in the members area, so that'll be something that you can check into. So learnhowtothinkcarwindows.com, you can sign up there, or the group. And I appreciate you watching today, and have yourselves a great day. If you got any questions or anything you want to see, feel free to comment me or whatever. Get in touch with me. For the people that I've met on here, they got my phone number, text me, and shoot the breeze and learn stuff, share stuff together. So we could do that as well. So talk to you soon, and thanks for watching.